think that the way that the spaces have been articulated and sort of an understanding of all the kind of patient rooms and the importance of how really what a courtyard can do to the health and well-being of the patients is, it's a simple idea, but I think that you've managed to present it in a way that, in a poetic way that you can sort of see that the value of achieving that. So I think there's a strong, the sections you've chosen are really relevant and important kind of drawings, so they really communicate that. I mean, I probably should commend it's a lovely project and presentation. So, but having because the courtyard is such fundamental to your scheme, and you sort of spoke about light and the importance of light and avoidance of, or sort of trying to avoid a sort of heavy use of artificial light, really a way to convince us that you understand the light is to present sort of, either a sun path diagram or knowledge about, how the particular light in Riyadh, what its strengths and weaknesses are, and it just can communicate to us an understanding of and knowledge of how it all kind of works. So I'm going to, and just sort of seeing how your plans were orientated, that I have confidence that you understand all of that. So, but then the 3D sort of model sort of site, I think the second page, just the fact that it is sort of in a sort of a dense site, sort of where just how the light kind of moves, and I think that how you can sort of present how light will get into the space will be just, it just kind of helps us to sort of be convinced by the strategy. So, but I don't know, I mean, just apart from those kind of comments, I mean, it's incredibly, it certainly was the most complete presentation I think we've seen all day, and I think the cross section through the courtyard, I mean, that's a great drawing in terms of just being able to explain the various sort of spaces. But I think if you go back a page, I mean, it's an incredibly kind of powerful singular drawing, because it kind of helps to, one side explains the material and the atmosphere and the sort of the sort of quality of openness that you get, and then on the other side we get to sort of see what that in a sort of very traditional kind of architectural drawing looks like. So no, I really compliment you on the kind of work you've done. So thank you, it's a great presentation.
I wanted to create like this clinical but phenomenological presentation that sort of captures what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, I mean, it's good in a way that, because I know that what Justin had sort of articulated in terms of the types of drawings he required is just trying to kind of cater to everyone. But I think that it's sort of good in a way that you've sort of developed, you've built upon that and added drawings that sort of give a lot more meaning and a lot more relevance to, I guess, your kind of project. And I think just the importance of the courtyard, and no doubt, like and sort of, thinking ahead about your kind of final presentation, I mean, I can sort of see that there'll be a lot of discussion about the importance and the value of a courtyard, and particularly in, the sort of environments in which you're sort of dealing with. So no, thank you.
Thanks, Maha. That's very competent work. I echo what Mark said. So okay. That's it. That's very good. Thanks. We'll move on. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that as an approach to hospital design, I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's just a case of what patients would be the most suitable for it. Thank you.
Maybe I should make clear that what specific patients I'm thinking of while designing. Yes.
Well, I just don't think there would be many of those patients you just referenced. Like it's maybe a handful, and you can't build a whole hospital for a handful of patients. But yeah, again, I still think you've done a great job.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Certainly, I thought, again, as a dissertation or a thesis project, very logical. You know, you described the intent, you described the problem, and the problem was that people aren't getting as healthy in hospitals as quickly as they could, and that built environment matters, and that you wanted to address that. And I think you definitely demonstrated how the address, and you had evidence of that along the way, which I thought was very helpful. I thought your drawings, the black and white and the color together, you know, the types of drawings that you chose to represent your scheme were well selected. And I think having the video at the end was really helpful as well. We saw that you're definitely becoming an architect, and that you're able to pull all of those items together and create a comprehensive scheme that makes sense, that has logic, that has beauty, has qualities of skin, material, constructability, movement, logics, and so on. So I'd commend you on that. I think it was a fine presentation. I think it's a fine building outside of the ICU component. The other aspect, I suppose, that could have been considered more, given you're in a hospital realm where clean air and health and those things are so critical, a smart facade, or the thickness of the facade, I think a study of that is more warranted, even more than they've shown. Yes, you showed the brick screen and the glazing and so on, but perhaps you need air ventilation between two skins. You know, it could be quite a thick external skin, particularly in a really hot environment. Like you've got, I know you've got the shades on the outside and so on, but there's significant heat loads, and you might circulate air on the outside of the facade without it contaminating what happens inside so much, and particularly isolating particular areas and so on. So there are more complexities in a hospital than you've really allowed for, but I think at fifth year level, undergraduate level, and I do call it undergraduate, I know you're a master's, but it's actually a first professional degree, and you need to do those 5 years to go and become the architect. I think it's a very sound project, and you should be very happy with the work that you've done. It's quite a beautiful thing as well. So and that's really nice to see. And for me, beauty means a lot. So
Thank you.
Maha, it's been a pleasure to work with you in parts this semester. You're always the most prepared for every tutorial. You're always the most ahead with your drawings. And I think that really speaks to your work ethic, which comes through the scheme, the dedication to thinking deeply and critically about things, and kind of going beyond, you know, a standard that's kind of set. You know, you're engaging in a Saudi Arabian climate. You're not afraid to kind of to go into all levels of what that means, when, you know, just a hospital by itself is enough, you know, in terms of a degree of challenge. And so I think, you know, I'll kind of, you kind of know my background, and you know that as the kind of the third person, and you know, my most of my practice was in healthcare as well. And but I think what's the point that I want to make there is, in that project, I'm working with healthcare designers that have been doing it for years in a team with hierarchy, but also with a really tightly managed project control group, access to user groups, access to health facility briefing systems. And what you've done by yourself in a year is highly commendable. And if you were given the opportunity to work with and collaborate with that degree of people within architecture, but also within, you know, the consultants and the users and all the other people involved, I think you would just thrive. It's a tough space to be working in, and really essential for architects, and it's so tightly controlled. I think what's really, you really used the fifth year project as an opportunity to ask some questions that sometimes it's difficult to have the space to ask, because, you know, as tightly as controlled as the process, so too is the time frame of these projects.
Yeah, Tim, can I just echo that? Like, I would say this is probably one of the most well-resolved healthcare schemes I've seen in a fifth year project. Like, it's got, so, you know, apart from picking holes in the ICU decision, yeah, the level of detail and understanding and evidence that's being referenced is pretty phenomenal, as well as the architecture being beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the kind of final link I'd make is to Milos, your tutor, who's currently at RPA as we speak, experiencing firsthand. I don't know what ward he is. Let's hope not ICU, but well done.
Thank you. Okay.
I wanted to ask you about brick. The sort of, is there a reason why brick was chosen as the material? Is that a local material? Is that a
Yeah, because traditional domestic design used a lot of brick,
Yep.
and so I used perforated brick as sort of like an innovative way to integrate that, so that the place feels more like home and warm and comfortable. And also brick, perforated brick specifically, it also reduces sound and it cleans the air and it regulates airflow. So like in a place where there are like regular sandstorms, using this perforated brick will help to cleanse the air and keep the air cool in this hot climate. So
Yeah.
I think that's why I use brick, because it's the properties of brick itself is why I use brick.
Oh, I mean, look, I mean, we use bricks all the time, so but I think yeah, you could have just, the way you've just answered that question, sort of, it could have been a good slide to just sort of talk about bricks. I mean, I also wanted to ask about, like, always the sort of challenge with sort of doing brick screens is the weight of the bricks, and therefore the support structure behind that. So have you, like, is it a steel frame that supports the bricks, or is it, are they sort of, are they clipped into place? Like, are they on a,
they are like fixed to the columns and to the floors. They're fixed into place, because in parts where there is artificial ventilation, we have glass, like complete artificial ventilation for health and safety. And so the facade is fixed to the columns, and in open spaces, it is fixed to the floor slab and the ceiling and the floor slab.
Okay. And do you have, I mean, is the sort of the glass in terms of the cavity with the brick screen and the glass, is that separated as well?
There's like, I think 50 millimeter between the brick and the glass. I did that as the reason because I did some research and they said that distance it will stop like pigeons and others from nesting into the area, which I'm open to, but it will be hard to maintain clean. And that little 50 mm space, it also like reduces the sound by a lot. So yeah, I think one slide should be on like why I chose brick and the material.
But I was just
probably you know, to show your building in relation to the surrounding buildings in context, you could do it might be useful to do a kind of a long elevation, just showing the height of your building compared to the other buildings, just to, you know, which would, to show the shade overshadowing and then a potential kind of light quality, and how that all works. And the other thing I could just add for the perforated bricks is another really good thing about perforated bricks is that it increases the surface area of the wall, right? So that means that this mass wall actually has the ability to absorb heat much more than normal, and it cools the air. And to that end, I mean, it would probably be more, for the internal spaces, it would be more useful if the glass was on the outside and the bricks were perforated on the inside, because then it'd benefit from that cooling effect. But I'm not sure how that would stack up in terms of hygiene, which is, you know, it's kind of in conflict there. So you might do that on the open areas where, you know, you want to get that cool of the perforated brick to actually work really well. And it's been done.
Horizontal openings, it's like open. There's no glass there.
Yeah, right. So that's fine. So it'll work there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.